professional organization. But if you are able to communicate it and if you have that trust, and if you are willing to give it a little bit more time than what normally just giving a diktat is, I think you get there.
So the patience is virtue. Patience is key as we go ahead at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think patience to make sure that you have the balance and you continue to earn the, continue to keep your organization not, and ensure that you don't get divided. Because the risk you run is that one half of the organization starts pulling in one direction and the other half of the organization which are the which starts pulling in the other direction, and then you can have a real problem on your hands.
Let me touch upon a couple of pointers you raised. Communication amongst the company, because you don't want them to drift in different directions. You are one of the few examples of a family business which is intact. Now there are many famous and infamous examples where second generation is not being able to hold the businesses together. Touch wood, you've been able to do that so far. And your father was here the day before and he said, we are not a family business, we are a family in business. How crucial is it? And I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs here would want their families to be involved in the long run. How do you manage the family remaining intact as you go ahead?
Well, I don't think it's rocket science. It's been being done for decades. I think in today's world, a few things have changed and need to be looked at more seriously, which is what I think we have followed, and touch wood, it's worked pretty well. I think the single biggest factor really is communication. In terms of, at least in our family, everybody knows exactly what's happening. Everybody is part of the decision, everybody knows what's happening, and there are no surprises. The worst thing a family member wants to know is that there is a surprise. Some other member of the family has taken a decision, it's come into the newspapers, and he's getting to know through the newspaper or through some employee telling him, oh, by the way, your brother or your whatever member of the family has taken a decision, and now you got to follow it. So I think communication is the single biggest factor. The other thing clearly is alignment, at least on the big issues. Clearly you're not going to get alignment on every aspect of the business. Everybody is an individual, everybody has his own thoughts and methods of doing things. But alignment on the big things, alignment on the strategy, alignment on the direction, alignment on how you're going to get to where you're going to get to, at least at the 30,000 feet level, is, I think, very, very crucial. So if you have alignment and if you have a lot of transparency and a lot of communication, I think it can be done.
Why do you think it's becoming difficult then in corporate India, and we don't have many examples of successive generations holding on to businesses together? What do you think is going wrong?
I think I'm not talking about any. As time is going on, again I come back to patience and willing to be accommodative going forward. A lot of people are much more individualistic. They want, especially the younger people, they want to decide. They want to be their own master. There's nothing wrong with that. That's one way of doing it. A lot of people have succeeded in that mechanism. But if you want the family to succeed, then I think you have to be a lot more accommodative. You have to be willing to change at least be open to an alternate view in terms of decision making, and I think you have to be willing to accept that every time it's not going to go the way you want it to go. It's going to go different sometimes.
Does it help you do business better as well?
Sorry?
Does it help you to do business better as well? Those virtues actually help you in running the business better?
I think it's good because you should be open to hearing ideas and thoughts from everybody. And yes, if you're the leader, you have the prerogative to make the final decision. But not giving an opportunity to hear, you may be losing out. You may be losing out, and B, you'll have an organization which is driven from the top, and you won't get their input. So I think it's good. There's nothing.
Okay, let me try and ask you those anxious questions now. Do you get worried? What about your next generation? Do you think they will continue? Because a lot of groups now, and I can name the Tatas have openly stated that they have considered outsiders to run the company. How difficult or how easy it could be for a family business to absorb the outsider running concept?
Clearly, as you go from first generation to second generation and then from second to third, it gets more and more difficult. And I think the reason is that the third generation, or even, for example, the second generation, we don't see the difficulties what the first generation has been through to build the business. You don't see the pain and the effort which has been taken, and the third generation certainly doesn't see any of it because they get everything on a platter, and for them it's much easier to, they think it's automatic. You get all the things which the first generation worked very hard to get to. The third generation feels, this is normal. So I think the understanding, and therefore that leads to a significant amount of non-alignment in culture, in values going forward. So clearly it's tough, but the job is to try and keep them as grounded as possible and hope that you can get the same values. And if you get the same values, then chances are you can keep it together.
Would you be disappointed if your next generation does not come into business?
I mean, in a Marwari family, you grow up thinking that, that's not really an option, right? So when I got going, nobody really asked me, do you want to join the family business? Just go do it. It was, you're 15 now, why don't you come to the office instead of going to college? So I don't think we grow up thinking that, at least in our kind of family, joint families, that children really have that much option. But really the reality is that children do have options, and I think as parents we have to accept that. We can provide a view, we can provide a thought process, we can provide guidance, but I don't think going forward diktat will work.
Interesting that you say that. So in some ways then inheriting a business, is it a challenge or an opportunity? Because let's say when you got it, your challenge was to take it to $15, $30, $50 billion. So now do you see when the next generation comes in, they're going to see that as an advantage, or say, my God, 30 cannot become 60 and hence let's not get there?
Well, first of all, I don't think it was a challenge only for me. The group has not been built by me or by any effort of any one individual. You are part of a family, you are part of an organization, and it's really the effort of all people, of a whole team, and of course of the family in getting it there. So it's not an individual effort, and I think that's the first thing you've got to accept, that it's not you which is building the business. It's a team effort. The family members are involved, your senior management is involved, and therefore you got to look at it that way. But as far as the younger generation goes, whether they see it as a burden, I mean, it really depends on how they look at it. If they're interested in having a good time, then probably they don't need to take the kind of load and pressure which you would have to if you want to run a large organization. If you're willing to put the shoulder to the wheel and get on with it, then it's a great opportunity.
That's going to be an exciting future. Just to kind of veer your thoughts towards of personal balance that you do to make sure that the legacy continues and you set new challenges. As a family business, what are the learnings you think which you can share with entrepreneurs here who would like to include partners as they go ahead? What are the learnings that you have over keeping that balance going? That I have to maintain a legacy, that I have proved myself, and I have to set new challenges. That itself is a transition in the first place.
I think the best people who have made this transition very well, and which is pretty much institutionalized, is really in the US. If you think about it, a very large percentage of the large companies in the US today were either family run or